Welcome back to Fire Emblem Thracia 776. This is the second to last mainline chapter. This is chapter 24. We get to throw down with Raedric here, who is getting chewed out a little bit by Veld here. It can be kind of a complicated chapter if you want to get everything done in it. There's a lot of chapters that split you into two, or maybe not a lot, but there's a few that split you into two parties. This one will actually split you into three. And here you see Seti. It can also be Sias if you took Sias instead. He and Leaf both spawn in the middle here by default, whereas everybody else is at mercy to the whims of the way deployment is handled in this game. So the center group takes on Raedric, the left group takes on these dark mages that are abducting children, and the right group takes on these dark mages that all have different bizarre and dangerous status staves and siege tomes and things like that. And those guys are what you really have to worry about in this chapter. Everything else is kind of manageable in like a secondary way. You really don't have to rush too much. I guess on the left, sort of, but we'll get to that in a second. This group here, there's like a Berserk Staff, there's a Siege Tome, there's also stuff that's like, it doesn't really matter that much, like one of the guys has a Magic Up staff. But basically, as long as you have enough status staves of your own, it's not that big of a deal. This is why having more than one high-rank staff user in your party is important. Like, in a lot of games where you can train several people to do that kind of thing, it's like you can just get by if you do one or so. Like a lot of games, you have a healer who's just the healer or whatever, but this game you want to have several. Just for these last couple chapters alone, it's really imperative. If you don't take care of these guys immediately, it just gets really, really bad. Once you've done that, it's like this left room here with all these kids. The reason that you would want to go in there quickly and take care of those and save all the children is because as long as you have Sarah alive, what you can do is open up the very, very top room, like above Raedric and everything, that you can't see into until you unlock the door. There is the Kia staff, which turns people back from being stoned. And you need that in order to save Avel in the Gaiden of this chapter. It also is useful in the last chapter just because Veld can stone your guys. So potentially you may have to deal with that as well. But as long as you obtain that staff and Sarah is alive at the end of this chapter, then you trigger the Gaiden. Otherwise, you don't get it at all. It's not like you can go there and see Avel still turned to stone and be like, ah, crap, well, I don't have the staff. There's no like case for that per se. These guys on the right are also in some sort of like immediate danger, sort of, with these dark mages and the heroes that are down there, but you can hang back a little if you want. On the right hand side, you can see kind of an open doorway. Once we head back up to where Homeros was just fighting, you might be able to see it. That's some of the only reinforcement tiles in this chapter. Some soldiers will, like just regular soldiers, the unpromoted, just generic soldiers will spawn from there if you don't block them. And also there are some tiles directly above Raedric. That middle one of those three open tiles, there's no staircase or anything, but eventually a Lop-tier mage will spawn from there. So what I'm doing right now here is warping Merida over to where Galzus is, and that is because Marita is his daughter, and this is where you can recruit him. So he's your other, what's his face? I want to say Athos, but or Athos, but what I mean is Fire Emblem One's Goto. That's the name I'm thinking of. He's your other Goto type character. He can carry a lot of the combat in these last couple chapters. If your units just all suck, which mine don't, but you still want to get him because he's great and he has a lot of good weaponry on him, including 2 stacks of vulneraries for some reason. You have to be careful though if you don't just work Marita over there, which I only did because she didn't spawn in the right lane in order to be able to root him. But if you just want her to walk up to him, you got to be careful because he has movement stars, like more than one, I think. And the last like 3 or 4 times I've played this chapter, he has always gotten one. So what I have done usually is have somebody like Nana, for example, just completely unequipped, and I just have her in range of where Galzus could move if he did potentially get a movement star, and sure enough, like the last 2 or 3 times, he always has. So he'll just capture her, and then you can just have Marita talk to him then, provided she's within walking range. But Galzus also comes with all these other heroes and snipers, or whatever they are, who are dangerous in and of themselves. They're not extremely powerful, but if you don't have some heavy hitters up there like Galzus and Seti, then your units can get cut up. Luckily, Galzus also gets a fat 20% bonus from having Marita in range, so as long as he has that and like one other bonus, then he is virtually invincible, like as far as you can be in this game. By now you've noticed that I haven't even bothered to open the door on the left-hand side, and I guess that's where I can talk about here that, well, actually let's wait here and watch this. Diarma just died here just because those soldiers happened to be powerful enough to kill him. And I don't know that I really made a mistake per se over there. I guess if there is one, the mistake was just, I don't know, because Diarma is a promoted unit at base. I feel like he should be able to take those hits, or at least dodge one or something, and he always is just underwhelming for me in these playthroughs, like in any of these playthroughs. Like, he has charm, which makes him useful, and he comes with a personal weapon that gives him both Vantage and Wrath, even though those cancel each other out in this game. So I always just, like, he always just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and this did nothing to change that perception. Like if he can't take on 2 soldiers like that, then what good is he? I don't know. I guess if I had to absolutely nitpick my play here, the thing to do would have been, you know what? No, that wasn't my fault. I'm going with that. Diarma just is underwhelming. That's it. But anyway, what I was saying before that happened was that by now you'll be aware of that. I pretty much skipped every single Gaiden after chapter 12X, and I skipped one before that too. Just in general, Gaidens are kind of dangerous in this game sometimes. So if I'm not absolutely rolling and completely confident in all my guys, and are like ahead of schedule with, leveling Safi, things like that, then I just won't play a lot of the Gaidens. And especially with 24X in particular, there's really nothing in that chapter aside from getting Avel back. And that's just like something that you do for bragging rights or sentimental reasons. Like, you want to play through the whole story. You want like Leaf and Marita to have the best ending. That's why you visit that chapter. You don't visit it because it's a good decision gameplay-wise. And if you're somebody who wants to like be better at this game, or just understand better how those kinds of actions impact your run, I would say, as long as you don't care about full recruitment necessarily, just don't visit that chapter. It's a really wild chapter. A lot of nasty things can happen to you. So, and like there's chests in there, but it's not stuff that's like amazing. There's like another night proof in case you want to promote somebody at the very last minute, and like that's kind of it. So that's why we're not going there. This isn't my best ever party, so it just, that's just another chapter where I could lose guys and be less prepared for the final chapter, which is tough. It's one of the tougher final chapters in the game. But beyond that, once you've got the right room under control, what you want to do is have whoever's over there capture all of these dark mages and steal more status staves off of them. There's a rescue staff in there. I don't know why one of them has one of those, but I'll take it because as you saw in the last chapter, I really can use one of those. Could always use another silence, stuff like that. It's free stuff. Just make sure you take it, as long as all of these guys have been neutered. And then the center section, something that I always find amusing is, so like, I always recruit Galzus in this because I don't think I've ever lost Marita in an Ironman. And then I always just have him run straight up, and there are these two bishops up there that don't have like attack tomes or anything. They just have like heal staffs. And the funny thing is, as soon as you approach, they start running away over to like these little nooks and crannies, kind of close to the throne. So it's like Galzus like chasing them around like cattle, and it never fails to elicit a chuckle from me. They have like not that great of stuff, but it's another thing that's like, well, why wouldn't you grab all those things? Like, it's free stuff, and you have time while Leaf is trudging up to the throne to take on Raedric. The ways that you can take on Raedric are, number one, the Braggy Blade, which we got at the end of the last chapter, which negates the attack halving feature of Galzus' sword. Which, it's not like in, say, Path of Radiance, for example, where you literally have no choice but to use, like, Ike or Ina, for example, to combat, what's-his-face, the Nard dog. In this game, it's just that Raedric cuts your attack power so heavily that it's best to use the Braggy Blade, but you can actually also use units who are extraordinarily powerful, like Seti or Galzus, which is part of why you get those guys for this chapter. Seti or Sias is force deployed in this, by the way, so if you are playing this for the first time and you recruited one of them, but you don't see them in preps, don't panic. If you want to put something on Seti or Sias, then just put it in Leaf's inventory, and then they'll be sure to be able to trade with each other. That's a guarantee. Seti comes with a door key, so you can always open that door. You always have a method for that. But it's still good to bring a few door keys. What I like to do is, since we know that this game more or less, like say if somebody's in the first, second, third deployment slot, then those guys will all be in different lanes. So if you just put keys on like consecutive guys, then you can be sure that you're going to get a key in each lane. And then also just, put your lockpicks on your guys. So as we can see here, what's going to happen is SETI doesn't do a lot of damage with Forseti, but he does enough where you can kill Raedric that way if you need to. Like if you, it's possible to not get the Braggy Blade, right? Like if Sias dies, for example, before you can talk to him, and then I don't think that SETI gives it to you if Sias dies. I don't think that happens. But so if you don't have the sword, you can still kill Raedric if you're Iron Manning or something. If you're not Iron Manning, I would say just do the previous chapter over again if that were to happen. Braggy Blade can also be used by Nana and Diarmid, and also Fergus, believe it or not, which is like a little nod to his parentage. I think those are the three that can use it besides Leaf. So basically it's like holy blood guys, sort of, although there are some exceptions to this that don't make sense. For our little Japanese lesson, in the most recent translations of this game, the battle quote for Raedric is really good. I really like it. It's such a hateful quote. He just, like, says something so nasty when you turn to fight him. But believe it or not, in the Japanese, all he says is, like, essentially, like, so you've come to kill me? Well, it is I who will kill you. I mean, it's a little bit more flavorful than that. But it's a rare instance where I would say I unconditionally like what they did with the translation. I think it not only fits the game and the narrative, but it's just so much more fitting, I think. And I don't often say that. I usually like people to be as faithful as they can. Definitely have punchy dialogue, but have it be in the spirit of the original script. So look out for that, and I'll put the original Japanese quote in the description. Like with the Xavier chapter, the throne here, you can stand on these pillars for an extra bit of defense and avoid. Just be careful because, like I said, there's at least one lob tier mage that is going to spawn just above Raedric. And the funny thing is, when he spawns in, you're going to see in a moment, he starts unlocking doors, including the door to the secret shop, which is, I don't know if you've been able to see it in this video, but it's in the very upper right. It's just like this little space out in nowhere that has a door. And if you're able to warp somebody up there, that space where the door is the secret shop, which, of course, you need the member card from the really stupid thing that you have to do in the Xavier chapter. In this case, because I didn't open that door in the bottom left, he went and opened the door there. So I'm not sure that if he runs out of doors, like if he will start attacking you, if you're standing on that space Leaf is. So I would say just, play it safe. I haven't tested it out ever. We are running out of time a little bit. So let me just explain what you got to do with the kids if you do want the Gaiden. The kids will, like, if you take care of those lob tier mages, that long train of them, the kids will eventually just, like, make their way up to the door. But a lot of times it's faster to just rescue them and try and drop them near the door. The boys in the group, there are boys and girls. One of the boys will open the door. He just randomly has the key, or he has, like, the power to open it or something. And inside there are actually more reinforcements in there, and like, they come from stairs. And there's the chest with the Kia staff. So if you do want the Gaiden, that's what you got to do. You got to... I don't think that there is a time limit per se, so you can take your time with that, I think. But don't quote me on that. If I'm wrong, I'll look it up after I'm done recording here and correct myself in the description as well. But beyond that, you can take a little extra time to, just make sure you have all those extra staves, and that's pretty much it for Chapter 24. Pretty simple if you don't go for the Gaiden, kind of aggravating if you do, but definitely I would recommend you go for the Gaiden at least once when you play this game. If you only play it once, then definitely do it. But thanks for watching. See you next time.